Yeah, they're trying to get us out as black people right now, and it won't work. We are the longest liver, and we shall be here. With all what's going on, we're going to remain, because we are the first people, and we're going to remain as the first people. Harlesden mean too, it's a lot of changes they try to bring into Harlesden. But we must also remember, don't forget the original people that build Harlesden, make Harlesden what it is today. Right now I describe it as I can see where they're trying to push us out of it, and a lot of changes coming into it. A lot of black people with a lot of business, we had a lot of houses, a lot of position, and all that is taken away. It will return back.
Lived in Harlesden and the surrounding Brent for 50 years. I've had the shop in Harlesden for 20 years, literally born and bred, Northwest Temple. Harlesden's a cool place, but people on the outside seem to be quite worried about coming into Harlesden because of the bad reputation it's got. Anyone can make a bad reputation out of an area, and it's not all that bad if you live in it, it's just if you're a stranger. Pretty well balanced, mixed, multicultural place. Most people get on. Yeah, we've got the same old faces around, you know what I mean? We've got quite a few old characters that are still in the area, a few of them have died. But yeah, generally we are one people at the end of the day. Not really, because I know so many people, and I've been to school with most of the people I've tattooed, and I'm tattooing their sons and now their grandsons. I mean, you kind of, oh, you're so-and-so's grandson. Culturally it has. I think there's less black and white people here, it's all mixed now, it's all completely foreign. You know what I mean? Every nation's in this area, and people knew each other. Yeah. But now it's kind of, you've got this kind of weird divide. It's hard. It's Harlesden, no one's got any money. We do cheap, because, hey, no one's got no money, and we still got to work. We're not Camden Town, we're charging ridiculous prices. I mean, we know everyone's in the same boat. So you've got to work with what you got. Mainly hairdressers are coming up like crazy, because there's always good money. Beautician shops, hair shops, everyone's got to eat, so there's lots of food shops, and that's really good for the area.
So yeah, I think it is network. So for example, like with Kilburn, a lot of my family were there. Why? Because it was the closest place to stay that was away from the city, so you couldn't afford to live in Zone 1. But Zone 2, back in the 60s, the 50s, they weren't as expensive to stay, and people knew someone there. You'd know someone. You'd have like a connection, like somebody that had come early on. They were renting a place there. So for example, with my dad, he would have had some distant relatives, some friends who said, you can come and stay with us. We've got a place on rent over here. So then they'd go and he'd stay there. And it was simply because of networks, and it's the same in Harlesden. People will be there for generations. You won't find new Pakistani couples going there. You'll find couples from Pakistan that have been there for decades, and now their kids are there because it's too expensive. They're having to move further and further out. They're in places that are like where I am, maybe in Sudbury or even further out of Zone 4. Because you can't afford to live in a Zone 2, Zone 3 area now. It's too much rent. In those days, it wasn't like that. In those days, that's where all the cleaners used to live. They used to live in those areas, all the workers travelling to the city. Like my dad would travel into the city, work, come back out of the city, because you could nowhere could you afford to live in a place like Kensington or what have you. I would say it still feels like one of the last places that's really been touched by gentrification. It looks like after this, there's nothing really left. What's left in London to gentrify? You've had Brixton, Peckham, Kilburn, you go to East London, Whitechapel, Hoxton, all these places have become trendy. Harlesden's getting there, but it's still a place where you'll still find that feel and that vibe of what I used to find when I used to pass through in the 80s and the 90s. I still feel like it's an old kind of town. I don't know, maybe down east there's some other places, I'm not sure, even south. But everywhere else, to my knowledge, when I've been around there, they've all been gentrified, and Harlesden is like the last stand. Harlesden पुरानी जगह है, वहाँ पर अपने लोग हैं, दूसरे किस्म के लोग हैं, और गुर्बत भी है और अब अमीरी भी आ रही. I'd say Harlesden, it's like an old place. There's a lot of our kind of people there, as in like mixed ethnicities. There's poverty and there's now wealth coming in the area too.
Even to this day, like, people ask you where you're from, and like my automatic response would be Northwest. Where? Northwest Harlesden. Oh my God, you're from Harlesden. You don't seem like you're from Harlesden. La 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 la, this and this. And it's like that kind of perception. Like, for me, what do you mean, though? This is just the area I grew up. Yeah, there's like attributes. I can see why, because the perception if you're not from here is violence, the ghetto. And I get all of that. I understand. It's just, we just live here. Like, this is where we live. Shops here, like, our community's here. My perception is home, basically, and community for me. And like, I know other people have a lot more of the negative attributes, like, connotated to and associated with Harlesden, which is kind of disheartening because this is my ends and you're like constantly just looking into it. I don't know, I get a bit protective over it. For me, oddly enough, it's a safe space. Harlesden is comfort. It's what I know. It's the people I know that really make the area and kind of give it its charisma. Like, people always talk about how bad it is, but I'm just like, nah, it's got character. It's where all my best friends live, it's where my family live, it's where I go to the meat shop and my uncle's there and he's giving me a discount. When my parents first came here in the 90s, actually in 94, they touched down here from Somalia, from Hamad, the first place we moved to was Cricklewood, and then we were placed in Harlesden for like 2-3 years, and then we developed Stonebridge estate, so we moved to there, and literally that's all I've known. People have congregated and kind of have made relational ties and made family ties and community ties for people that otherwise would have felt very isolated. And I think that aspect for me should always be protected, and that's why I'm so like, don't touch it by my ends. People are trying, people are like getting by. Not to get all like emotional, stuff like that, but people have like literally faced life and death situations, have now moved here and are trying to get by it and trying to create something for themselves. For me, that's something that like I really treasure, and the fact that you have your community here. When you're like walking by the little housing strip, like Wilson Junction to the junction, and you have like all those shops and stuff, especially like this bare man on the road, like the older uncles that would just be there from across the street shouting to each other. So it would just be like, Say ma fi anta hai, how's the family? How nabad waya, mashallah, alhamdulillah, blah blah blah, and it'd just be like shouting from across the street, like family can cross there, like sort of like there's a road, you can talk to each other. Nah, but it's just like from across the street, and then you have like the Somali like aunties too. It's actually really sweet, like the way they all like talk to each other would be like, how's the family, how's the kids? Abdullah said, why? I heard he came out of Penn, blah, 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 stuff like that. And it would just be like, but it's just really, really sweet. Obviously, there's a certain Northwest slang that we speak. Very influenced, Caribbean, Somali, I don't know what else. Old, like, London slang too and stuff. For me, like, even when I'm talking to like friends who aren't like necessarily Somali, like a Janebi, that means like foreign, they still understand all the lingo and stuff. My friend Sabina, who's Nepalese, and I'm like, Salam Abayo, like Abayo means sister, I call her Abayo, or like as I interact with my other friends and stuff, I'll just be like, Wallahi fam, really fam, what are you talking about? For real? And it's like, it just like jumps out. Like, I feel like it's representative of that generation. The young generation, I feel like because of the rise of the internet too, there's a lot more like maybe American influence and stuff, like linguistically. Like sometimes I don't even understand it myself. So like my sister, for example, like, let's go for pipe sesh, can't for pipe, and it's just like that kind of linguistic slang difference that I'll say.
I'm half English, half Italian, but I grew up in Germany. I moved to London in 2016 to do my masters at Westminster. Moved to Harrow, worked in Wembley, lived on Preston Road for a bit. Walking around through Harlesden, I've noticed like a quite big Somalian community. When it comes to the music scene, I think the southeast of London has a quite popular music scene at the moment, but I think that the northwest of London also has a music scene that is quite good and prominent, although like I think the northwest is a bit rougher and a bit rawer than southeast because it's just not as gentrified. Mein Name ist ALISTAIR, ich bin aufgewachsen in Deutschland, meine Mutter ist aus England, mein Papa aus Italien. Ich bin 2016 nach London gezogen, um meinen Master zu machen in Music Business Management an der Westminster, habe in Harrow gewohnt für circa ein Jahr, bin nach Preston Road gezogen.
Harlesden is a multicultural, diverse area that a lot of people I know I'm associated with live. Growing up in Harlesden, you always had to watch your back, to be honest. I feel like you always had to worry about going through Harlesden. You couldn't just go and live your life unless you knew people and who you was with, because Harlesden wasn't the most welcoming place at times. You had to be safe and be cautious because there was a lot of mix-up going around. Being a young black male, not getting into the wrong crowd, culture, getting in gangs, violence, you just want to stay just on the straight and narrow. Harlesden as a community, there's been significant growth, but it's also been like quite stagnant in the sense that there's still crime and mix up like on the back door all the time, but there's also a strong sense of community and hope and progression, I feel like, in a sense. You've seen like a lot more improvements in the area, even if you just look at infrastructure, the way like a lot of buildings were run down, and there's like a lot of improvements from the council, I guess, and that's a gradual thing that I've just been seeing. And like when I'm going through on the bus, I'm just seeing a lot of changes all around me all the time, to be honest. I think they can be good changes, but also not all the changes support all the people of the community that have been here for a long while. Like they support people that migrate or are new to the area more so, or that can afford it more than the people that have been here for a long time. Harlesden is quite significant for me because like when I was going through a rough time, in my teenage years, I guess, I had to have somewhere to stay. There's family in Harlesden, my family's shop is run there. I used to stay, my uncle like at the top of the shop on the sofa, somewhere to stay. Another friend, it's weird because Harlesden's so diverse. She goes boarding school, but yet she still has family in Harlesden. I just stayed at her house one time, like when I needed somewhere to sleep. The significance of Harlesden to me, it's like a safe haven in a way. It's somewhere to stay when I need somewhere to be, I guess. They don't speak in clear English, everything is all cut up and mixed up. Tutus this, tutus that means this is one thing, like you're going to one thing, and then tutus this means like, yeah, this is another thing. Tutus, I went to the shop and then I picked up a Magnum from the shop and then I went and picked up a beef patty. It's just like a connective or a sentence starter that you just use. Wagwan, that's just when you greet someone, you're just saying, hi, how you doing, how you feeling? I guess it comes from Jamaican patois. The next one, safe, for example, if I'm talking to someone and then we're done, I'll just say safe, and then that's like another way of saying bye. If I'm chatting to someone and they give me something or like I'm thanking them, I'll just be like, yo, safe G. Peng. If we're just like talking, I see you like a nice looking girl, I'll be like, yo, that's a peng ting. Or like, are you still talking to that peng ting? Are you still talking to that girl that you've been chatting to? Linking, etc. Linking, like, just like another word for you when you're chatting to a girl, I guess. As you just get older, you don't want to revert back to like using slang because you have different opportunities and not everyone speaks the same way as you and you don't understand you. So it's just about not reinventing yourself, because when you're still with your boys and the man them and that, you're still going to talk in a certain way. You're going to revert back to how you usually talk to when you was younger. But as you're getting older, you're going to become more experienced, meeting different people that's not just in this small, close-knit environment. You need to articulate yourself better, and so you need to be with people that understand you so they can respect you in a more business sense or whatever sense you're trying to depict to them when you're talking to them.
Harlesden's just home to me. I've grown up here. I've lived here most of my life, ever since I moved from India. So I moved here when I was 1 and I've basically known this as home. Harlesden's always just been like just an area to me, like my area, and I never thought of it as dangerous or somewhere people would avoid until I kind of compared it to other areas like Wembley, where like my friends live and stuff. Harlesden has like a bad name to it sometimes, where it's just violence and crime and stuff. There's a huge sense of community here. So we're from this small island, it's called Dev. No one's really heard of it, but it's near Gujarat, which everyone's heard of. I guess it's just like my sense of comfort and like my place I like to be. I can compare it to like when I go out for summer schools, Durham, Surrey, or areas that like are different. We have this sense of like community that other places don't have. Even though there's a lot of crime and whatnot, there's still that sense of everyone still lives by each other like peacefully. Harlesden ek jivant jagya chhe. Harlesden's like such a lively area. નિશાળથી આવતી હોય ત્યારે લોકો ખરીદી કરવા જતા હોય અને રસ્તામાં बहुत લોકો હોય ને when I come back from school or when I'm walking down, like there's loads of people shopping and going out obviously, which makes it a lively area to be in. Harlesden એક જીવંત વિસ્તાર છે જેમાં बहुत લોકો ખરીદી કરવા આવે અને बहुत લોકો અહીંયા ફરવા આવતા હોય, એટલે like જીવંત જગ્યા છે, મને તેવું લાગે છે. I heard old aunties gossiping on the phone. They'll be like, oh my god, she did this and I didn't do that and like this is making me angry or whatever, but it's so funny because they didn't realise how loud they are. Amaro saak levaai bhi nahi, amara kapra le gaye and stuff like that. This woman, she didn't go out to get my fish and stuff and she took my clothes. Just like really bizarre, weird things. Harlesden vistarna loko jivan સાથે જીવી શકે. They can live by each other. Ek saraswita in like a beautiful way, I guess.